Hello, hello, everyone. Hey, I'm Zaya, and this is OTALOCO. This is the live panel session, the first one of 3. Let me check that we are okay on the tech side. And we'll see. Okay, there we go. So I think we are live. So welcome to those of the speakers who are here today. So today I can see on my screen we have Lois Warnock. Hey Lois, can you wave so we know who you are? Names do not appear there. We have then up top there's me. Hello, I'm Isaiah. Then we have Cindy Wensley-Gertz on the other side of my head. We have Nick Kellett. Hey Nick, you seem very, very tall in that setting. Then we have Laura Stasiunas in the middle. Hey, Laura. Then we have the amazing Simone Alves from Brittany, from Magic Brittany. We have Andrea Detchan. Hi, Andrea. Panicking. Am I in the right place? Was she asking? Yes, you are. There we are, all of us. And wait a second. And then we have the amazing Jackie Kemp.
Hi.
With a nice hairdo. Love that. Yeah, tiara style. Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. As per, it's obvious, I do not have a plan for these live panels. I just want to have you talk about the cards and the cards in your lives, whether they are your cards, the ones that you actually created, or the ones that you use every day. So whoever wants to take the lead, I have a few tech issues to sort out. So play amongst yourselves. Play nice, please.
Well, I'm just gonna jump in and mention that I'm gonna be like drawing and painting like tarot oracle cards. Because I have been sharing a few, and people who join in can download one of my coloring pages. So I thought that was a nice activity to be doing during the panel. So if you see me watching down, it's because and I will show you the work in progress. I thought that would be nice for that evening panel. That's it.
Amazing. I love that, Simone.
So
I love that.
I will be like doing like showing thingies like that with different.
Let me have your faces bigger, all of you. I'm going to take this this caption out of the way because basically we don't need the caption. So your faces get bigger. Isn't that better?
So tonight I'm
the
coloring
logo out of the way as well, so that Cindy's head is not in the middle of the logo. Voila. And I can see a deck. Yes, I can see a deck. Oh my God, there's a deck. I'm going to just give me another minute to be right there with you. So my next question is, and you will know, how many decks? And Nick, you're not allowed to answer that question. We're not counting phone decks.
No.
Not yet.
Just print ones.
The print ones. How many decks?
I've lost count, but it's 120, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, you win for now.
Mine is 49.
Ooh, good.
I'm so impressed. It's so
I could drink.
Precise.
And I'm sure there'll be a couple of new decks after this Congress.
Yeah.
I already want the deck that the lady was just reading from earlier. Sorry, I don't know your name.
Fiona,
I thought your deck was lovely.
Oh, yes, the Light Seers. It's a classic. And myself, the star is sat on the bottom. That was the last card that I pulled for, I forget, Pascal, wasn't it? So, yeah, I love it.
I love this.
I'm feeling quite inadequate now because I've just got 15 and I thought that was a lot because I was a bit like, oh, and I've got one which is like a big pack and a little pack.
So I've
got fewer. I've got about 10.
I was just
Yeah, we
telling
do.
Zaya this morning that I think I'm going to win the award for least amount of decks. I have 9. But I will have many more after this conference.
That's going to be a problem, I must say, because not only do we have a physical deck shop where you can find so many amazing decks, plus our speakers are sharing some more decks that they love, like the Light Seers Tarot that Fiona was just using. Plus, we have the tantalizing Nick with his Deckible decks, which is like, this is it's like Diogenes' barrel of decks, you know. Almost 600.
How many
you said?
decks? 600.
Only what?
You said,
There's-
you
yeah,
said that
how
there
many
were
decks?
almost 600.
On Deckible,
Mhm.
there's almost 600.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And we're scratching. My estimate is that there are 100,000 unique decks in the world in English only. And my estimate's gone up from 10 to 20 to 50 to 100,000 over the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
So I remember when Nick was just starting this, and we were so excited to get our decks on your platform, and you were talking about, you know, what your estimates were, and we were kind of, oh yeah, okay. Wow. But you started with a few, right? So amazing.
Yeah. Oh, totally. No, the first 50 was like pulling teeth, but yeah, it's got easier.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, we if you've not listened to, I'm talking to the attendees right now, but if you've not listened to Nick's presentation earlier on, the thing is that now a deck is more than a deck. So it opens up to, I mean, I had 1 hour of break in between the talks today. That's all I was allowed to, 1 hour. Thank you, Jean, for recording your talk. Thank you. So I had 1 hour of break, and I was discussing with my mom, because I'm here in Greece with my mom, and I was saying a few ideas that I've had, and she said, "Oh, this guy is not good for you because you're never going to sleep again to create again."
Thanks,
And
Mom.
indeed, you know, it's opening so many things, so many ideas in my head as a creator, and I think it's amazing that we can have tools that help us increase even the mere possibilities, kind of, you know, what is possible to do. And I can't wait to see what all of us and the rest of the world invents using the Deckible.
So how do we, because we have this a private chat, but how do we share a link to everyone? Is that possible?
Okay, I will do that. Share it in the private chat, and I will share it.
Yeah,
you have to
I shared it.
Okay.
So I go to something called Cardstock, which is a monthly meetup, and it's got nothing to do with tarot, although sometimes it is actually. These are all business coach, facilitation minded people, and they talk about nothing but card decks, and they all own hundreds of decks. And it's like, how do they use business cards in a business setting? And I love it because it's just like this, but completely different, and it's fascinating. But yeah, so if you have any interest in business decks, go along to Cardstock, but take a couple of $100 along, because it'll probably cost you that in card decks when you buy some. So it's free to go, but you'll probably leave with a lighter credit card than you went with. Yeah.
But that was the theme of Jean's talk, like how to use cards for business. I really enjoyed her talk, and anyone that has the opportunity to watch the replay, it was really insightful, with really concrete actions on how to use your deck to really take action, and not just stay with your intuitions or a bit of information.
I agree. Thank you very much.
I didn't see that one, but
I enjoyed Jean's talk for the same exact reasons. Jean Berry.
Ginberry.
Okay. Oh yes. Oh.
Sorry, guys, I'm going to just 1 minute. This room can only accept 10 persons, and there's actually somebody else who wants to join. I don't know who that is, but I'm just telling this person, I'm not refusing you because I don't like you, but this panel is full for now. Maybe try later or tomorrow or the day after. Sorry. So
I also read.
I'm particularly interested in that one because I read specifically for entrepreneurs, so I use tarot and interpret it in business ways. So it'd be interesting to get her perspective on that. And I haven't had chance, unfortunately, to watch that one, but yeah, definitely on my watch list. So
Yeah, and I just want to comment on Jean Berry because I've been in her group for probably almost 2 years, and I worked with her on getting my deck going. It was a long process, but she's really fabulous with her. What I love about her is she's creative but very process oriented, and so it really helped to do it step by step, and so I can't recommend her highly enough. She's really fabulous with what she does. So yeah, and Nick agrees, and I'm sure Laura does too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, we've had a few sessions today, and there's more to come after this panel. So we've had some live sessions. We've had the amazing Tonya Melendez kind of hijacking my opening address with some insights around the, how can I say that? The decolonizing of the spirituality world, which I love. And then Nick presented the, more than presented, kind of made this amazing interactive, very, very futuristic presentation with slides and everything, like posh, around Deckible. Then I had a talk with Cindy, was it? Yes, was it? And we talked about how cards can be a way to our inner self. Mostly for women who need to reconnect with maybe a long lost intuitive persona that it lives, not persona, but how do you say that? Inner self, let's call it like this. And then I had a break, and then it was Jean's talk. So again, the amazing Jean Berry. And now we're here, and there's more to come. And I know that some of you have watched some of the pre-recorded talks. Can I ask, what did you like? What didn't you like? What was like, oh, surprise, but don't say too much so the attendees can still have some kind of a surprise.
Can I just share something? You missed off Fiona's amazing live reading session.
Oh, sorry.
She was reading so many cards for us. It was amazing. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Fiona. Really insightful.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Sorry,
No, it was a pleasure. It seemed to go by so fast.
Some people have, it did. It was like, oof, whirlwind. Some people have are daring you, Nick. We have Jill. She has what was her number again? Big number, I think, 75. So decks. So
wow,
we're coming for you.
I'm interested to know all these decks that we've got. Do you have a deck that you kind of go to as your favorite? Do people have a favorite deck?
Well, I have to say it was really very becoming and very practical that Fiona decided to read from the Lightseer's Tarot, because I'm in Greece and I have 3 decks with me, and that's one of the 3. So I would never have been able to do the showing the card things had she chosen any other deck. So, and I've seen this deck in many businesses and in many places. Yes, it is Chrisanne, Nick. And I really love this deck, and I know that I'm not the only one. I'm going to parade that now I have the mini version, since it's not on Deckible yet. So I've had to buy the mini version.
Oh, if I could get her on Deckible, I would love to just bump into her walking down the street in Toronto or something. Like, oh, hi.
I see you. I believe
Yeah.
Tonya Melendez knows her.
Okay.
Just putting that out there.
Okay.
Connections.
So,
Yeah.
are we answering?
I think that's a favorite. And I've seen exactly, Andrea. Go on with this one.
So this is my current favorite, the Sacred Traveler. I love Denise Linn's. I think I've got like 3 or 4 of them. I've got the Sacred Destiny and the Gateway. The Gateway was my first one, but I love the imagery. I love the pictures. There's so much kind of like little different bits and pieces to them, so that you can really, when you're using your intuition, the different elements kind of shine out. So when you're picking a card, it's like, well, today actually this bit's the bit that's important, or this bit's the bit that's important, depending on what's kind of shining out. So yeah, so Sacred Traveler.
There's a lot of storytelling in these cards. For years when I traveled, I only traveled with this one, and I read from this one, being a traveler myself. But it's very heavy. So for suitcases,
you mean as in big?
Yes, I mean as in big.
This one, somebody else has got this one, the blind spot one, and that is like that's a weighty. I'm a bit scared to use that one, to be honest.
I must admit, I have heard Denise Linn's Nature Spirits, and that was one of the first reintroduction into tarot for me, because I'd stepped away from tarot for quite a while, and then it just popped up when I had a bookshop. It popped up, and I thought I must buy it because it reminds me of my mother. So I absolutely love her cards, and I do have the blind spot. It is a very scary deck.
I don't know this one. What do you mean by scary?
Well, it shows people's weaknesses or what you're afraid of. So it can be quite a heavy deck. It's not one I would do on a live because it's quite personal. But yeah, no, it is really to light up where your shadows are. And where
here goes the list of, I want to go and have a look at this one.
Yeah, me too.
Let me spend some money.
Yeah, so I bought it because I was like, oh, I know there's stuff like that I want to deal with that I can't see. It's like, I thought, you kind of go through all your stuff. You're like, right, I've got my oracle cards and they're telling me go this way. But there was still stuff that I was like, I'm blocked in somewhere, or there's something. And it was like, there's something I'm not seeing. And then that came up and I was like, But yeah, I haven't really used it yet.
No, I've got to be honest. I've used it a few times, but after this now, I'm going to go back to it. In fact, I'll get it out tonight and have a look, because often we do have limiting beliefs or blocks, and sometimes it's really hard for us to see our own. We can see and help others with their blocks, but our own, we sometimes don't want to acknowledge it either.
Also, I want to mention a deck if we're talking favorite decks. It's absolutely impossible to carry it anywhere, so I won't have it here. But it is the deck that you mentioned, Nick, in your presentation. It's the Ali Man's Tarot. So it's a Kickstarter deck. And that has, instead of having the 78 cards of the tarot, it has 160.
Wow.
So basically, it's got 2 complete sets of tarot. Plus, I think there's 13 cards, 13 death cards. Like a huge number of death cards. And the more he was getting crowdfunding money, the more cards he was adding. And the principle is that, just like Nick is saying in the chat box, it comes from 160 different decks. So he would go and have cards from that are in public domain, but also he would ask, Chris Ann, would you give me one card? And so this deck is composed of multiple other decks. It's like literally magic. And it came because we waited so long for it, and it was kind of expensive, for all the perks, because it was the most successful ever Kickstarter in the business of tarot or oracle decks. Made more than $1.5 million in revenue. We got a wooden box, we got a scarf, we got anything, coins, coins, you name it, basically. And it's amazing to play with. I've actually offered it to some of when my sons are doing role-playing adventures, we create a deck specifically for that adventure, picking the cards that we want, because you can. So I think this idea is amazing, and it kind of relates to Deckible possibility to mix and match decks.
That sounds
I've
really
got this
cool.
amazing, and I don't use it enough, but adorable magical dogs tarot. I don't know if anybody's got
Need
this
that.
one.
Ooh.
It's gorgeous. And my favorite card, now the Chariot is Cancerian energy, as I'm sure you know, and I'm Cancerian myself. But the Chariot is 2 huskies. So, and I've got 2 huskies. So the loop there for me, it makes it such a special deck. But yeah, it's a beautiful, and the book, you know, it's one of those where the description, which I don't normally use when I do readings, but it's so evocative, you know, and the imagery is described, and the way that the meaning is described in the books, very, very unique. But yeah, so I love that one. Completely love that one.
Awesome. Any other favorites that you want to show or showcase? And you're allowed to show your own, right?
This is my favourite deck at the moment. I tend to change every year to having a favourite deck, but this has been with me a good couple of years now, and I'm quite disappointed they've only got one of Colette Baron-Reid's decks on Deckible. Otherwise, I'd have the whole series of them. But it's a really nice, non-threatening kind of deck. So for those that are quite new to the idea of working with cards as having a prompt or something in a session, it's really, really useful. They're really deep, and they're also very beautiful images. So yeah, that's my favourite.
I mentioned this one.
Excuse me, Nick, just a minute. Fiona, can I ask, if you're not talking, can you mute yourself because of the dogs, so that, because there are so many of us that it confuses. Thank you. Nick, you were saying.
Okay, I will do.
Yeah, I mentioned this today. I had to just dig it out, and this is one deck I have with me right now, and it's by Russell Grant, who was an astrologer in the UK, and he was on national TV for breakfast every day when I was growing up, and he actually, and I saw him live this summer. He'd had like a brain tumor or something, and he'd had surgery, and he'd not worked for 3 years, and this was his first live performance. And he was talking about the deck, and I was a bit like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, because I didn't think of that much, you know. But once he got talking, I was just fascinating. He was amazing. And I didn't realize, but he created the Zodiac spread. So the Zodiac spread is like this massively public domain spread. And he called it the horoscope spread, but he was the one that created it. And he made this Astro Tarot deck, which is the fusion of the two together. And yeah, so and this has been out of print. This was done by Virgin Records like 20 years ago, and it's been out of print for a while, and I got a copy, and there's a guidebook that goes with it, but I haven't got that with me right now.
So I have a question about that and about the tarot decks, because I actually am an oracle, you know, card deck person versus the tarot. And I wonder, for people out there, for viewers, if you were just starting into exploring the tarot decks, which one, is there one that, you know, I know they're all pretty in depth, but would be a starter, a recommendation for people to start with?
I quite like one called the Young Witch Tarot, which is kind of simple, and it has a caption on every card that kind of explains the essence of it.
Oh, okay.
Which made it feel more accessible to me. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's a super interesting question. Sorry. Just in that, I would probably say the Rider-Waite one, the first one, like the kind of what they call the original. But you can buy packs with that imagery on, but with explanations on the top and bottom of them. So it helps you to start to get into it. Now, because I've only got two actual tarot decks, and the first one I bought was that, and then I was like, oh, it's really kind of like the imagery is quite dark and a bit like, and I was like, I'm not really sure. And the second pack I bought was the Tarot of Love, which is really kind of soft and lovely, and it's all really positive imagery and colourful and pretty. And so I think if someone was thinking about getting into tarot, I'd probably say you buy the Rider-Waite one as your kind of original messaging, because a lot of the books describe how to decipher through that imagery, and then you find something that you love, whether it's crystals or Buffy the Vampire Slayer or jelly babies or whatever subject it is that you like, and then you buy a tarot of that imagery, and then it just helps you to kind of learn the kind of official tarot meanings, plus doing it in your own way as well. Because I think the oracle cards are a bit more flexible around that. They don't, like the tarot has that specific cycle of life with the major arcana that you kind of, when you're reading tarot, that's kind of how it's done. But yeah, that would be my thoughts.
Oh, that's great.
I really love that. I love that Buffy deck, by the way. And as a Buffy fan, going through the deck, you're just like, I remember that part. I remember that's from season 5, episode 6 or whatever. So yeah, geek out on that. For me, the one that actually bridged my transition from Oracle into Tarot is the Radley Valentine Angel Tarot, and the meanings so it talks about earth, air, fire and water rather than pentacles, etc. But it's got those sort of clues, like little meanings on the bottom and at the top on the major arcana, and it is a beautiful one. So this is the Fool. So nobody likes, people say, oh, the Fool, that means I'm a fool. No, it doesn't. But it's the Dreamer is the Fool card, and it's got a little explanation, and it attributes it to an archangel. So this is Archangel Metatron. It says, a leap of faith, follow your dreams, unexpected opportunities. So it's really, for me, they're very oracle-y as well as being tarot, and the imagery is absolutely beautiful. So
now
for me is a really good.
So now I'm chuckling because I think I have that deck. It's in my 75 deck drawers. Right.
Yeah, it's a lovely one. It's not one that I use very much nowadays. I've kind of moved away from it, but it is a really good one to start with if you're not sure, if anybody is not sure of like the meanings, if you want to get to know them. But bear in mind, when you go onto real tarot as it were, this some of the cards are going to be labeled differently, but it also does, like swords is air, is earth, and all of that, because it talks about earth, air, fire and water. So like your 10 of swords is the 10 of air, unicorns as the swords, and it's the end of a difficult situation, embrace the change and expect things to get better now, recovering from an addiction. So obviously open to interpretation, but yeah, there's just a really lovely little deck to start people off with.
Thank you.
And then if I may, I would say follow your heart. Pick the deck that speaks to you, because some decks are supposed to be difficult, but then they'll be easy for you. They'll be, I had a very difficult connection with tarot myself. It was like, I don't know, I couldn't seem to remember the meaning of the cards. I'd read the books and everything, and then it was like, I don't remember, 78, too many, Page of Cups, I don't know. And the imagery that I had on the tarot decks that I had did not help. Although I had some kind of very famous ones that, were supposed to be. And then I found this one again. And this one, it's like literally talking to me. Like the images are literally shouting meaning at me. And so I think that it's mostly, dare to like the ones that you like. Okay, so we're going to have Karen join us. Callie, you might have seen has left for now. because we only have 10 spaces. And Karen is wanted to join today, and since the time zones are complicated, Karen is going to join us in a few, and Callie might join tomorrow, but she is listening to us and commenting and having fun in the Hey Summit platform. So, okay, so Cindy, you don't have a favorite. That's a complicated question. In the comments of the panel, we have a discussion around what's your favorite deck, and then so many people are commenting and having conversations of their own, even without us. You know, so maybe we can answer that too. Is there a deck? I'm going to go for the opposite question. Is there a deck that you came to have or to see closely enough, not just in a shop, but you know, kind of somebody else had it, or you bought it and then you brought it home, and nothing, like no connection, like you know, what language does that speak? And let me be very specific. It doesn't mean that this is a bad deck.
No, but I have a very funny story. Every time I get a new deck, whether it's a tarot or an oracle, I generally do a reading to like get to know each other and which card represents me in the deck and what is the work that we're gonna do together. And I was pretty excited. I got myself Colette Baron Reed's Wisdom of the Oracle deck, which came out years ago, but I had many decks of her, but not that one. And when I did this reading, the first card that came out was, I was like, what is the type of, like, I think my question was like, what is the relationship we're gonna have together and the work we can do together? And the first card I pulled was like, not for you. I was like, what? And honestly, it's been sitting in my desk, so I've been like sort of like taking it literally, like using it if I have to do work for other people, not readings, but work. But I don't use it for me personally. So be careful for what you ask.
That sounds like a moment from a Harry Potter movie.
But I don't hate the deck. I mean, I love people. Well, I know plenty of people that use it, and I love the cards and the symbols. So it's not truly a deck that I hate, but the deck has sort of a reaction towards me.
Okay. They have a life of their own, these things.
So mine is, I bought the Carly deck. I really like Alana Fairchild's decks. But actually, when I got this, I opened it up and the colors are really jarring for me. So again, I like cards that they flow, whereas this is quite harsh. So I have struggled to use it. I think her decks are lovely, but this is the one.
Can you bring it closer to the camera?
Yeah. Callie Oracle.
Ooh.
So
Who is it from? Who is it from?
This is Alana Fairchild. So I have quite a few of her decks. She has Isis. She has Kuan Yin. But as I said, her decks are lovely. But this one, when I opened it up, I just looked at the colors and went, oh, yeah, it just felt harsh, you know. So I kind of like soft flowing decks, you know, that are just kind of, yeah, magical. Whereas this, I did find it, but Kali is the destroyer of worlds. So it probably is, that's why the colors are what they are. But I also think with the Rider-Waite, they upgraded their deck. They made it more colorful because originally it was more bland. And I think they brought out a second deck or a reprint where I don't know whether this is right, but it seems more colorful. Does that make sense?
It's now in the public domain, so anyone can do whatever they want with it and recolor it any way they want. Yeah.
Wow.
And if you want to, you can actually even go to. There are people who are selling a digital version of it on Etsy in black and white, so you can literally color it in yourself. It's
amazing.
There we go. Yeah. Talking of coloring in, that's amazing.
So we have some of our listeners. So PA is saying that her favorite deck is the Divine Intuition Oracle from Belinda something. She doesn't remember. and she found it in a shop in Old Albuquerque. And that leads me, oh, beautiful, Simone, that's gorgeous. Maybe I'm late, I'm delayed for that because I'm watching you on the other panel.
The
But
I present because it was my card for today. So
great. And yeah, the Pia's comments brings me to, isn't there something around also where we found the decks and where we bought it, who we were with, what was the shop like? And that is also linked to the story. You know, I was there, I was listening. So I'm imagining now, making up a story for Pia, who will come in another live panel and tell us the story herself. But here I go, imagining that she was in this old shop in Albuquerque on her own, traveling the US, and found this deck, and it kind of reminded her of blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and don't we all make those stories with decks? And do you have stories? Do you have stories to share? Does anything come to mind?
Lois,
Go
go.
ahead. Oh, okay. Well, actually, I want to. I mean, I have a lot of favorite decks, but I'm going to talk about my deck, which is the Spirit Guide Soul Divination Oracle deck. And as a psychic artist, you know, I've drawn over 1,000 spirit guides and people that have crossed, and over the years. And my guides were saying, you need to put a deck out. People need more than just the drawing and the reading, which led to spirit coaching and all that. So in my deck of 44, I actually I sat with in my sacred space, and they each came and sat in front of me, 44 of the guides over the past 8 years previously, who wanted to be in the deck. So they told me who wanted to be in the deck. And as a crystal resonance therapy certified person, they actually chose a crystal. So when I do crystal healing, I have a array. I have many thousands of crystals. So there is a crystal associated with each one of these. And I use these in my coaching calls and in my readings. But as well, I love the Alana Fairchild. I didn't get the Cali deck, which is funny that you said that, because when I was in the store looking at the decks and wanting to add one of hers to my deck supply, that Cali, the energy of it, kind of something different happened, right? And so I went, no, I think I'll go over here. So, and that's, you know, just intuitively tapped into what I wanted. But for anybody that's out there, if they would like me to, you know, pull a card from my deck, I'd be happy to do any readings or just a quick.
Awesome.
Which guide is coming forward for you?
I love that. While I'm going to go and have a look at the comments to see if anyone wants a card by Lois from her deck. In the meantime, I wanted to read that because I don't know if Nick has seen it, but I think it's important. Jennifer here is saying, I love having a variety available for different purposes. Grateful for Deckible to have so many easily accessible. And she's quoting 2 decks, a deck by Cherlin, which is called Mystic Art Medicine Cards. And the other 2 decks that she's quoting is, 3 decks, is Priestesses of the New Earth and Awakening to Your Divine Self, which both have been compiled by our amazing Jill Chesrow, who's a speaker in this Congress as well. And she says, Jennifer says, I feel surrounded by my fearless sisters that made them. Isn't that amazing? To have, you know, all the imagination that, or the reassurance that you're sitting in a circle of sisters when you're holding a pack of cards. And I thought that was beautiful. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing.
The story of that deck is amazing. I heard when we chatted about it, and the effort to go and get all those people to give her permission to assemble all that artwork, everything. And she's done it. She's done it twice now. So
yeah, it's amazing. And I'm so happy it's now on Deckible, which means that even if it's not very available as a physical deck, They exist on Deckible now for everyone to have and admire and play with, and feeling surrounded by the sisters.
There's something weird for me about, I don't understand why, but I guess I do. But artists seem to have a kind of cachet about being out of stock with their decks, being unavailable. It has a certain trendiness, and I just think it's like, to me, it just reeks of like a frustration and lost opportunity. If someone wanted to find your deck and would have bought it, and it's out of stock, it's like,
Yeah, I think you're underestimating the amount of work that it takes to actually print a deck, mostly a collaborative deck like this, and the amount of money, to be honest, because, you know, having printed my deck, which is a very tiny thing, has no box, has no booklet, and was really like the cheapest thing I could print, basically. And I decided to do that because I wanted it out. But it took me 3 months of hard work and devotion, and you know, comparing printers' prices, not knowing anything about printing, and having to learn everything about, you know, the dead space between the end of the paper and the beginning of the card, and the whole thing. And as an artist, this is not what I do, but I had to learn it. So I think it's not only what you were saying. Maybe there is a part of you,
I was meaning about just the fact that I've reached out to a bunch of artists about their decks that are out of stock, and I had no clue that I would actually walk into a brick wall in some instances. I thought it'd be like, oh, fantastic! People can have my deck. Wow, great, love to. And some people, but I've not fully understood it, and I think some of it is to do with the status of being out of stock, right? And I get that because there is a kind of marketing cachet to sold out, you know. But it's just, I'm curious to appreciate all of these nuances of people's thinking, because we all think so differently, and that's what's so fascinating to me. Like learning about that. It's not I have zero judgment on it. It's just a curiosity, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, and I actually, that's a good point, because I think that gives that Deckible a real advantage. And you and I probably talked about that way back at the beginning about the actual cost, because the cost to print the deck that I did was at least $35 Canadian to print. And now you have, and that's through, I won't say where, but one of the major, printing. And so by the time you finish that, and then you start adding shipping onto that individually, I mean, it was a loss situation, put it that way.
Right.
And so that was sort of the first run. And so then looking at things that, print on demand, and these are for, everybody here and the people listening on wanting to do decks, is the print on demand is, you can find places that print for a lot less, but then the print on demand to have them shipped out is then bumps up that price too. So then you look at, okay, wait a minute, this is supposed to not be a losing proposition here. So because the new people, I want to say that the people creating the new decks and stuff, I'm segregating that from the people that have thousands of decks out there that are, have everything behind them. What Isaiah was saying was doing it our own self, going through and learning how to do it, and is very different than people that are publishing deck after deck, right? And that have the financial resources. So Deckible, that's awesome, because you can promote the digital deck for many reasons, but not main reason is that you're not having the printing costs that are associated with deck, but people can get your deck. How lovely is that? Great.
Well, you have a lot of love coming in the same way that Lois is saying for Deckible on the comments, Nick. Huge fan, blah blah blah. Yes, amazing. I want to. So it solves so many of my problems. Printing is so frustrating. I'm so happy to not have to do that again.
Oh,
But then you have
published.
Kelly. Then you
Right.
have Kelly, who's an artist and who is saying that she hears you, like the cachet of being sold out. I'm
Right,
so
right.
famous, I'm sold out. So yeah, maybe there
And,
is some.
and honestly,
some
like
truth.
I've published a board game, and I went through 10 print runs, which is 10 different factories with it, and 10 different rolls of the dice, whether it was a good print run or not, and they were not all good. So then you end up with this whole print run that's faulty, brutal. It's terrible. That was not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point in that when I did my deck, I and many of the deck, and certainly Jean Berry recommends it in her process, is I had samples printed. And yes, I paid a lot more for them to have two printed. I had one printed in gloss and one printed in, in softer finish, and then played with them, got them and played with them myself, because I wanted people to feel a certain feeling playing with the decks. And so that's, it's a little bit more money to do that, but it's well worth it to do that.
I did that, but I still got like a whole print. I got a print run of like 6,000, 5,000 games that were flawed, and it was the same factory that did the first print run, and they just washed their hands of it. And I was like, okay, thanks. And
I worked for a small company that published children's books, and we had a run that was missing an entire folded page.
Right.
So you were missing 4 pages from a children's book.
Right.
That's a lot. Sorry, welcome, Karen. Please, come on. You've jumped in. I didn't even say your name. This is Karen Kosha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. And her presentation or talk or speech or whatever you want to call it has not gone on yet, so it's a surprise. So welcome.
So I know a friend of mine. She did a tarot deck in the 1980s, 1985, and I wanted to rebuy it recently. And I think, again, it's out of print, and I think it was going for $2,000 second hand. And I just, again, I was amazed. I thought, oh my God, where's that deck? So again, there is a cachet in your decks not being available, because it brings the price up and they become very sought after.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that is only valid for decks that already exist. If you try that now with the amount of decks that are created every day, I'm going to find a deck that I like today. First of all, I'm going to find it on Deckible because, to try and test it for 3 days and then buy it and play with it. And if I really, really, really like it, only then will I buy the paper version. But I doubt that I'm going to really invest a huge amount of money, except for collectors. But collectors we shouldn't even discuss, because these are people that are, they have their own mindset. It's a completely different. It's not because the collectors will want also the book or the deck to be in pristine condition, and so which is not what we do, right? We use the decks. I don't know about your decks, but my decks, anything that is older than 6 months looks like a dog and a cat and a horse have been walking over it repeatedly, and then a baby has chewed every card. This one's brand new, so it looks very posh, but all my decks usually look very, very shabby. So I don't think any collector would want them, even if they were, supposedly of some value. But about favorite decks, I want to tell you a story, because this happened very, very recently, and it freaked me out. So some of you might know I created a deck this spring. It's called the Goddess Self-Care Oracle deck. It's a tiny little square deck. And somebody decided that they loved this deck very much. And this somebody's actually there. Hi, Cindy. And Cindy has been kind of presenting my deck as her favorite deck of the moment for a few months now. And I'm feeling so much like a celebrity. It's like, oh, my deck. Every time I see my deck, I feel like it's in her videos or her lives or her photographs, like, oh my God. Plus, I have to remind people that we live at the other end of the world, right? I'm usually in France, tonight in Greece. And Cindy, you are where again?
Wisconsin.
So basically thousands of kilometers apart or miles apart. And so the sheer idea that I had to send a deck over there and that it then appears on her videos and it's my deck, I feel like, ooh, my deck is somebody's favorite deck. Isn't that posh? I feel like I can die now. So thank you very much, Cindy, for this pleasure of having my deck being your favorite deck, even if it's just for a while and then you change, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'll create another one so that you can like it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And I've been thinking about relationships with decks and how each relationship with each deck is so unique, and it is so hard to pick a favorite one, and it changes. I have a deck that I love to use now that when I first received it, I was so excited to get it. And then it got here and I was like, no, this isn't the time to use this deck yet. And so it waited and it revealed to me the time when it was time to use it.
Decks have feelings.
Decks have feelings. I love that, Nick.
Well, the one that didn't like
and they're not.
So maybe one day the wisdom of the oracle I will pull a card and it will be yes.
It's me. It's going to say now is your time.
Well, our energy fluctuates
and also,
too, right?
Also, decks are not just for Christmas.
Yeah.
And like puppies. Yeah.
Well, I must admit, I find sometimes I buy a deck and it takes me a while to even open it up. So I bought the Chakra deck a while back and I've only just started using it. And when I looked at the graphics, again, graphics are very important. I went, oh my God, this deck's lovely. So again, I think you might get them, but it takes a while to use them.
And sometimes I was starting to say, like, our energy fluctuates, our vibration fluctuates, what we're focused on or what's going on in our lives fluctuates. And so sometimes this one deck calls to you and you use it every single day for, a month or 3 months or a year. And then you want nothing to do with it for a while because you're in a different phase or a different focus. And then it's like, okay, what deck am I looking at now? Or what deck is going to serve me now or match with me, So it is like they have personalities and their own energy and almost like their own consciousness that matches with ours. And then it's kind of fun to have all of those decks available to you, especially if you're like Isaiah and traveling all the time. And then you have all of those decks. I have a big, heavy purse as it is, If I want to carry more than one deck in that purse, oh my gosh, I'm going to be like, holding my straps up, with my aching shoulders. It's nice to be able to carry them and have whatever deck is going to be right for you in that moment, right at your fingertips.
Yeah, very interesting, that we can have a relationship from day one, and it might not be, it might be actually an abusive relationship. Definitely Simone has an abusive relationship with the or the deck has an abusive relationship with you.
Well, I mean, at the moment we don't have any relationship. I respected the deck's opinion, so at the moment it's just sitting in its own box.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Where do people get their decks from? And one of my sub questions was like, who's done it? Who's bought a Kickstarter here?
I have. Quite a few, actually.
I bought a Kickstarter, and then after waiting an entire year for it to come out, I reached out to the woman and I asked her if her deck was still coming out, and she had more delays, and she said, give me another 3 months. And then after those 3 months, I said, I think I'm going to request my money back now because there's no delivery, there's no end date. And so that kind of soured me a little bit from that.
Yeah, I had a lamp that I ordered on Kickstarter. It was this amazing robot lamp, and I think it took 2.5 years.
Whoa!
And
I thought
Yeah, it was the long, and also they tried to charge me extra shipping and extra everything on top, and I just told them where to go, and they somehow managed to magically ship it to me eventually. I was
And
Yeah.
was it amazing when it arrived?
Oh, I don't think
Okay.
anything could
So-
live up to waiting 2.5. It was cool, but honestly, it wasn't as cool as it was billed.
The
Yeah.
Ali Man's tarot that we were
Yeah.
discussing before, we did wait way longer than planned.
Right.
But to be honest, first of all, I was so impressed and interested in the journey. He was keeping us posted every week
Right.
also on, because it was in the middle of COVID. So it was like,
Right.
we have no shipping. The ships have
And-
left China. They're now midway. It was like an adventure. So
I actually don't think Dell made any money out of that in the end.
No, I
because
don't think
he
so.
spent so much everywhere, like costing. Oh, it was.
Well,
yeah.
I think he made more than 1,000 times. He had to print more than 1,000 times the number of decks that he had planned to print originally. So everything changed. But he was so good about keeping us posted that I didn't feel like he was letting me down, and I waited very patiently. And to be honest, when it arrived, I was not disappointed. So yeah.
No, me too. I thought it was. I got it, and I thought it was great. It
But
definitely.
I've also subscribed to a couple of other decks on Kickstarter, and all have arrived in reasonable delay, and I've been very happy with them, or not, but it's not because of the Kickstarter thing. It's because of the deck itself that sometimes, as we were saying, we're not happy with. But I want to tell you another story about a deck. I bought a deck that was really happy, and I was I'm not going to say which one it is because I was young, and forgive me. But I bought the deck and I was really happy with it, and then I started using it, and I felt completely like, oh no, this is not for me. I don't relate to these characters. All of them, they're figure decks, with masters or angels or goddesses or whatever. And this is a category almost of decks that have the figures. And so I was really not happy. I was not connecting with the figures over there. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to do the sensible thing. I want to sell it, right? Let's make some money. And I did. And a couple of years later, I bought it back because somebody did a reading for me from that deck. And I thought, I want this card. I want to have this card. And I bought the deck again, and now I'm using it. So, sometimes. Now to answer your question about where do we buy our decks? Everywhere. But I'm going to quote the amazing TONYA Melendez and say that please, 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 wherever you buy your decks, at least some of your decks, go and buy them locally. Go to your local bookstore, go to your local health and spirituality store, to your crazy witch store in the next town, and help them live, because we need those people and we need to buy from them as well. Even if we do buy from Kickstarter or from Amazon or from whoever, and even if we have 155, this is my number now, decks on Deckible, we still need to go and buy some physical decks from the little local person who does the job of having stock and who knows the decks and who is amazing and deserves to make a living as well. Sorry, that was my political thing on let's do the local thing. And living in the middle of nowhere in France, where there are no bookshops, etc. It's a real commitment of mine. I actually drive to buy stuff somewhere because it would be so much simpler to order everything online, but I don't. So if I can do it, all of you can.
And as a former bookshop owner, definitely
Me too.
Support your local bookshop, because when they're gone, we can't get them back.
Yeah.
So for me, I loved it. I was on the high street. I did have tarot decks in there as well, and spiritual books. And it really is about, you're part of the community. So support your local bookshop. Absolutely.
Or any bookshop for that sake. I was in London, and I went, every time I go to London, I go to the oldest tarot shop, spiritual. I don't remember the name of it. Jackie, do you know it?
Watkins. Yeah.
I love this place. You can
Yeah.
find anything, any weird, spiritual, crazy tarot deck or oracle deck or even book that you can imagine.
Yeah.
It's like, it's tiny and it's jam-packed to the
The ceiling.
ceiling with decks and modern decks. They have second-hand decks. They have everything. It's like amazing. So if you ever go to London, this is an amazing place to visit.
And that's where I bought my first tarot deck, was from Watkins, and I've never seen it again. It was like an Egyptian deck. It was very unusual, but I will have to visit Watkins to see if they've still got it. But it stands out in my mind.
Well, that's interesting. We have also, as I was saying, memories of where did we buy the decks
Yeah.
and the.
Your first, where did you buy your first deck? That's like a first date kind of question.
Yeah, but as you know, we
story.
still have. As I
Someone
was
should
saying,
publish a book of everyone's first deck story. Yeah.
we could do a deck about that.
Oh no.
Could do a deck on Deckible. It'd be fun, and we can add a collaborative one. Each one would go and add their card. Anyway, sorry.
Stories about the first card that you pulled. And so each one of us has a different card. That could be cool.
The first card that we pulled, what, for ourselves?
Yes, ever.
I think I'm struggling to remember, as that was a very long time ago, like 40 years.
Yeah. Okay, the first one that's memorable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't have to be the first one, but it has to be the first memorable one. I have the deck here, so I can start this. Because my first deck was a deck that I carry all around the world, and I still carry it. Although the creator of this deck has disowned it, but I didn't disown it. So it's from Doreen Virtue's Goddess Guidance Oracle cards, which, by the way, just so you know, because it makes me laugh so much, is not available, right? Because Doreen Virtue has decided that this is not her truth. It's not available in English, but in French, you can find all her decks.
Oh my gosh, really?
All her decks exist in French. So if you want a brand new Doreen Virtue deck, come in France. We have them all. Because she has gained her rights. The French publishers have no intention of stopping to publish them because they're selling them. So, but anyway,
that's an incentive to be learning French. Might the French government start a new campaign? Teach yourself French to access all Doreen Virtue's old decks.
Maybe.
But that's really funny. I didn't know that.
She may acquire French citizenship just on the back of that alone. We'll give her an honorary PhD and make her a French citizen. That would be so funny.
I think if they do that, then she would try and
oh yeah.
She doesn't want the decks to be available, basically.
Right.
So
and I think, again, they've gone to astronomical levels as secondhand. Some of her decks are, commanding quite high prices secondhand, which is, amazing.
Again, come and buy them in French.
Yeah.
They also maybe exist in German or in Italian or whatever. And that also shows, for me, because I speak 3 languages and I come from 3 countries. It shows how much we are usually kind of focused. She thinks that her decks don't exist anymore, but they do. But they do. For where there's 70 million people in France, there's all the French Canadians, the Swiss, and the Belgian people from Belgium. We can all access Doreen Virtue. Anyway, so this is the card. This is my first memorable card. And it was a card that came up in the very first few times that I pulled a card from this deck, which, as I said, was my first ever deck that I bought for myself in London. Yes, in London. And it says, you have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching. And after reading this card for myself, I created my business.
Oh, wow.
I decided that, yes, I could do that. Sorry, it gets me emotional. I decided that I could do that. I could be the high priestess, basically, right? And here I am.
That's
Fast
why
forward
we're here
15
today.
years. So
Beautiful.
we're supposed to be talking for another hour or so. But again, if anyone wants to leave, feel free. Where we can, or has to leave. There's also maybe some other people coming in. So we make it an open space, these live panels. And there's many comments, and I've copied some of them. There's a question, Nick, for you, if you're still there. Somebody says, could Nick possibly talk about using Deckible for crowdfunding?
Okay, yeah. You're talking about
Is it possible?
kickstarting a deck. Is that that's what they mean? I
Yeah,
assume
but
that's what they
through
mean.
for Deckible
Yeah.
or through Deckible? I don't know if there's.
We've done that with a couple of decks so far, and they both were funded, and we definitely helped boost their numbers. You basically it's a term I've coined called pre-kickstarting. So you put your deck on Deckible before you go to kickstart it, with the idea of like building up some pre-audience so that when you launch on Kickstarter, you've got 100 people or something to already jump in and buy it. Because when you launch on Kickstarter, what happens is if it doesn't sell well in the first hours, it's kind of buried to insignificance and no one gets to see it. Whereas if you land on Kickstarter and it sells well, the people at Kickstarter go, oh, this is selling well. Oh, this looks nice. And then they make it one of their products we love products. And if you make that, then you get, special promotion and boosted. So there's quite an art to that, but you need to have enough friends or customers to jump in and support you. So.
Oh, we have, thank you. Thank you. That's, if I suggest to the person who wants more details around that, maybe to reach out to you directly. You have a
Zoom
booth
call with me, You
have a booth on the sponsor page where you can be reached for specific questions. And then I know that you're always very, very happy to jump on calls with creators and discuss new decks. Here we have Marta saying here, I ask all my decks, what's your astrological sign? And they tell me. I love that. I think the what you said around. Sorry, I'm reading the comments and trying to keep up with the conversation. And another thing that was brought is, could we have a meme for a Deckible Christmas stocking thing, Nick? Because decks for Christmas, Oh, we can't hear you anymore.
We can't hear you.
Nick, your microphone must be off. Try again.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I need to think about that. I haven't really had any Christmas stocking suggestions, or people were asking about how to gift a deck as well the other day. They wanted to buy a deck for someone and gift it to someone else, which is very sensible, but we don't support that yet. So that was annoying, but we'll have to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, but
or like have gift cards so that people then can choose their own deck, because
exactly. That's what makes it complicated, because you've got to give the thing to someone digitally, and then they have to come and then choose and spend their credit. So,
but speaking about like Christmas, did anyone ever think about like calendar Advent with one deck every day?
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Well, I actually did that last year with my one deck with one card every day.
Okay, one card, but one deck.
There are people.
You unbox one deck every day for 24 days before Christmas.
We could do that. That's easy. We
I've
could,
seen
you know,
people.
if we take the 21 speakers that are around here, we've got 21 decks, I'm sure, 21 different decks. Then we just need another 3 and off we go.
Well, some of us have more than one deck. Well,
Yes.
for sure. Well, I think like the numbers are already there. Now we need some crazy people to jump in for like 24 days Oracle decks.
Wasn't this? I saw someone run. I've seen someone run a 78-day challenge where they basically pick a deck and then they draw a card from that deck in sequence or variations of that theme. And there's a group of people do it. And I watched some videos about this lady, and she was choosing which deck she was going to use for this challenge. It's like there's a lot of interesting challenges out there that people run. Lots of tarot. I think there's at least half a dozen accounts on Instagram of tarot challenges that people are running.
Yeah, so many things happening online. So many. Not all of them make sense to me, but you know, that's the cool thing. So, do we have any questions online on the platform? Let me see. And if we don't, we have a comment that I think is very interesting. So I'm going to read it. I think Deckible will bring a lot of us together in ways I hadn't thought of. I'd love to see ways for users to connect with other users. This might be able to take place through the communication with the creators of the deck. Maybe the creators can facilitate chat groups for each deck or have chat rooms. Not sure if this is a direction Nick wants to go towards. So I don't know if you want to comment on that or just reserve your judgment.
It's definitely something that we've recognized, that we want to create community around decks and around the creators who want to, you know, be like if you try and get Colette Baron Reed to come and do that, she's probably not available. But you know, or any, you know,
we are.
But there's a lot of people who are and would be thrilled to have that interest and would be motivated to create that around their decks, right? So
you never know.
No, exactly. You never know. If you don't ask, you never know. Exactly, right? And so supporting that, and I just think there's so many. The fact that some people go to Etsy to book a reading, which seems crazy to me. It's like I was like, is this real? I mean, there was a time when Etsy had to be made by hand. Now you can buy things from China on Etsy. It's kind of gone weird, but yeah. So
Creating communities is an amazing idea, I think.
And we want to create what we call membership decks, where people pay to join a community around a deck, and then the creator runs a facilitation session, and there's membership with a group of people who, you know, maybe that's an art group or something around a deck, and people are, or maybe it's a creating a deck group or whatever, you know. There we go.
Yeah, again, there's so many. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Simone. Thank you.
Cool.
Just anytime the word creating a deck of art group pops up, then I will be showing my work in progress so that people who join us on the live know what it is about. I started to draw it when we started the live panel.
It's very cool.
Gorgeous.
Very cool. I love that. Absolutely. I also, somebody mentioned earlier on a deck that can be colored. Was that you, Nick? I love that.
We haven't got that yet, but that's definitely our plan, is to have coloring, because you can take the deck and then turn it into a black and white outline and then let people color it in, which is kind of fun.
I love that.
And some artists would freak out and say, nobody's doing that to my work, and others would think it's wonderful, and we just got to say, okay, you know.
Yeah. But also for I think it's so, I don't like, there's an overuse of this word, but empowering, that, you know, you can color a deck and make it yours. And again, it's a permission given to play with the cards and just not go through the hassle of, am I worth it? Have I studied enough? Am I good enough artist? Am I good enough, you know, intuitive person? Just go and play with the decks.
Totally. And honestly, coloring is basically just a proxy for meditation. It is a cathartic act that you can lose yourself for an hour. Like I coded a whole bunch of prototypes on Deckible a couple of years ago for coloring, and I've spent hours doing it. The coding cost was minimal, but every time I used to use it to color, I would finish the coloring for no purpose other than the pleasure of coloring. I was using it to test the experience, and I found myself losing 20-30 minutes every time I did it, because I would finish the coloring because it was calming and cathartic and all those good things.
Absolutely. It had me quit smoking, coloring.
And I have to say, when the meditation coloring books came out, I think it was 2016, they actually saved, we have a high street bookshop called WH Smith. They actually saved WH Smith from going under because they were so popular. People were really hooked into them that it boosted their revenues by 30%. And I know, as in my shop, I sold lots and lots of them. Right. And they are a great way to just go into that zone of not thinking, just meditating as you're coloring. And it also brings that childhood aspect back to you of having fun, which we all need to connect to our inner child or children.
There's something like when you meditate, there's something weirdly flawed with meditation that people have to keep saying to you, return to the breath, return to the breath. When you're coloring, no one says to you, return to the paper, get your pen back in, keep coloring, because you're there. It's much more like naturally intuitive to just keep going, I think.
Absolutely.
And also you're not making judgments. Like when you return to the breath, there's a bit of judgment. Am I breathing properly?
I don't know. There's some judgment in my coloring, I have to confess. I think,
Well, are they blending? Are the colors blending? Are they jarring though? Because I wouldn't like that.
Well,
did I go over the lines?
Yes.
I immediately imagined how I could create a deck on Deckible that would have one face with my colors, one face that would be possible for the person to color, and then it would have a meditation to accompany. The third side would be a meditation or a music meditation, so that they could listen to the music while doing the coloring.
And you would have to be able to, like, some artists would want to control the color palette that someone was allowed to color in this particular drawing, and others would say any color you like. It's because it's all choice, and the freedom with which someone can recolor your art is kind of like.
Of course, there is going to be always people who are. Sorry, the word that comes to mind is not a nice word.
Particular.
And I was going to go for stingy. Stingy with their art, like not sharing it with the world, not, and in a particular way. I think that is, I believe, together with one of my mentors, Joanna Hunter, that we only have one conduit for energy, for abundance, for love, for everything, and it's the same conduit that goes in and out. So if I'm never allowing, anything, there's no way I can receive anything. If I'm not giving anything ever, there's no way I can receive anything. And I believe, one of the things with artists is, and I can own that fully, is that we can create, like every day, if necessary, like all the time, and if you create something today and you give it away, then you can create something tomorrow. There is no limit to the creativity of artists. And my definition of the artist is somebody who's standing on 2 feet and has 2 hands. So basically you, me, everyone. So, we're all artists, we're all creators, and there is no limit to our creativity. So why not share it with the world?
Yeah. We've got, can I share one of the comments that's come up? So Marta, who's online and commenting, so I'm in 2 places at once.
Awesome. I love that. Thanks for helping me out.
I'm trying. So she says that she's got a colouring book edition of her original deck in book form, which is loved by her clients and students, and she'd love that to be on Deckible. So you've already got somebody who wants to put a coloring book deck coloring book deck
Oh,
coloring deck book edition for
yeah.
Deckible.
Right. Oh, wait. So she can bring her colored deck to Deckible right now, and as soon as we have the coloring, she can bring that too. Who did I speak to the other day? Oh, I know. It was one of our creators, and I called up and said, "Hey, how you doing? Any more decks coming?" And she's like, "You know what? I've got bored of making decks. I've moved on to coloring." And it was just like, it's fascinating that even creators, go through phases of switching mediums and the things that they create and how they create it, right? So because we have to enjoy. It sounds weird to say, but it is work, right? It is a passion. You have to enjoy it. You can't just, you're an artist, just keep painting. Maybe if you're not enjoying it, you're gonna come to a grinding halt at some point.
Absolutely. So, are we going to pull some cards, ladies and gentlemen, or are we not? So again, if anyone online wants a card, this is going to be your chance now, and we don't guarantee whose cards you're going to get. But yeah, we can't possibly talk about cards and not pull any cards at all. So in the meantime, we have to wait a little bit because there's a delay between here and the live panel for some reason. So up until somebody wakes up.
While there's a delay, I'm just going to say goodbye. I apologize. I got to skedaddle. This was so much fun. And
thank you very much for showing up. And everyone, go and listen to Karen. Her talk is amazing, if I say so myself.
Thank you.
I've been the lucky person who's listened to all the talks beforehand, except for the live ones, obviously. And I have to tell you, this is out of this world, really. And in case you don't know it by now, OTALOCO is da bomb, and Karen is representing. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Bye for now. So in the meantime, I was going to say exactly that. Actually, I was going to say this is a live panel, and you're just having it's like a light, fluffy version of us. If you want the real thing, go and listen to our talks. All of us. We have amazing presentations that are supposed to last 45 minutes. Some of them are doing overtime, but we'll survive that. And we have some of the talks are made alone in front of a camera. Some others are in a conversation with me. And we have live readings again tomorrow with KDK from Australia. Just so you know, I realized when I was discussing with KDK that she is fully booked until the end of December 2025. So if you want a reading by KDK, your chance is tomorrow, and it's going to be free, right?
I think people need to know how to be so booked out. But she needs to sell a course on how to be so booked out. That's a rock star.
She's actually considering that, but I think that she loves what she does so much that she has no time to teach others at the moment. But she did create two amazing decks, the Modern Oracle and the Modern Oracle of Essential Oils. And she wrote a book about that, or a couple of books, at least one book. And you can find both of her decks on Deckible. So, yeah, we have live readings there. And Chris Wallace and myself, we will also do a little bit of live readings on the last talk of OTALOCO. So just after Tonya Melendez. Yeah, the last talk, the closure, you say closure, the closing talk. We decided that we'd do some readings. We do the flash reading things, which we have so much fun with. Nick, do you want to talk?
So I was curious, where are we supposed to look to see the comment stream? Because
I shared the link previously. I can share it again in the private chat.
Okay, cool.
Basically on the Hey Summit platform.
All right. Okay.
So there is, and let me see if there's anyone who wants a card. Nope, there doesn't seem to be. So shall we pull cards for ourselves? Shall we do the fun thing? Like Lois pulls for me. I pull for Cindy. Cindy pulls for Andrea. Andrea pulls for Simone. Simone for Nick. And Nick, do you have a deck? Good. You have. Oh yeah.
He has the Deckible.
Sorry. We'll pull for Jackie, who will pull for Lois. Does that make sense? So we don't have much time. So please not 25 cards each. Right?
Oh,
And
we're getting comments about the card pulls as well. So Jennifer,
now we want
Je-
card decks. Okay,
Jennifer
so we
and
have
Marta.
people want cards. Okay, so Jennifer wants a card and Marta wants a card. Who wants to do Jennifer? Okay, Lois is doing Jennifer. And who wants to do Marta? Okay, Jackie is doing Marta. Awesome. When you're ready.
Oh, and Shelley as well.
And Shelley as well. Who wants to do Shelley? Okay, go on, Lois, for Jennifer, right?
Okay, for Jennifer. The card, the spirit guide that came out is Lord Maitreya. And
Let's see if I can do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lord Maitreya, and his message is about worthiness. And so at some point, we may doubt ourselves, but release all those doubts. And you are unique, you are magnificent, and shine your light. And there's a mantra that goes with that, which is, I am unique, I am magnificent, and I share my light. The crystal that's associated with Lord Maitreya is pyrite. And all of these crystals are from my crystal collection. And as a healer, and it is about the masculine energy manifestation, vitality, and willpower. So integrate the high frequency into action. So the additional message to that is really about connecting with your spirit guide, even if you don't know who your spirit guide is, or you've never dealt with them, is just call them in. Call in the one for your highest and best purpose and ask for them to guide you and provide a message. And simply just sitting in that quietness, you can hear those messages. So that's for you.
I love that. I love that. So Jennifer, if you like that, please comment and let us know. I'm not letting you go anywhere, Lois, because Jill is asking for a spirit guide card too. So can you please do Jill? And then we'll switch to the other. Sorry, I'm disorganizing the whole list. But Jill said she wanted a spirit guide card. That's why I'm attributing her to Lois again.
Oh, I love, of course, my favorite. This is Spirit Medicine Woman. And Spirit Medicine Woman is about trusting in spirit. So be inspired through spirit. And ask the question, is someone in spirit wanting to connect with you, to share their wisdom? Just be open to that. And the mantra is, I trust in spirit through a joyful heart. There's a crystal associated with that is sunstone, and sunstone is all about connecting to the heart, clearing your limitations, increasing your confidence and joy, and asking and collecting from the divine the golden rays. So it's an element of fire in that crystal, and the added message is that so trusting in spirit is kind of like we say I believe or I trust, then we try and put parameters around it, and that's where they say don't put the parameters, because allow whatever it is to come through and guide you, and they will. Absolutely. They're there. They actually await you. So
I love that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Lois. I hope, oops, where are we? There we are. I hope Jennifer and Jill like that. And I think Jennifer actually commented, she said, that was like a spiritual hug. I love that. It's beautiful. Absolutely. So then we have Marta with a reading by Jackie. Let me highlight Jackie. Let me try that. Nope. Sorry. How do I do this? There you are. I suppose I have to do this. Yes.
Hi, Martha. So when I was tapping into your energy, I feel that you're going through a lot of changes. You're reevaluating your life, looking where your next few years are going to be. And it's like at the moment, the card that I pulled was exploration. So this can be exploration of your life and what you want from it. But also I feel that you're yearning for more. It's about traveling, about seeing the world. It's about redefining yourself and expanding out. So at the moment, I feel that you're really looking at how things are looking in your life, what you want to do, who's in your life. You might be assessing whether you need to leave some relationships behind, but you're going into a greater time of expansion, a greater time of exploration. And I really feel for you at the moment, expanding your horizon would really be good, because I feel that you've been a bit limited at the moment and that you need more diversity in your life. So I hope that made sense. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jackie. Great, great, great. So we have Shelley. Who wants to be reading for Shelley? I have, do I have a volunteer, or shall I do it myself, basically? Okay, so I'll do it. Or do you want to do it again, Lois? Whatever, whoever wants. Yeah, go on, Andrea. Let's dare and see Andrea for a while.
I'll go. Right, can you? Oh,
just
that's not me.
Just a minute. It's coming. It's coming. But I want people to kind of be able to admire, first of all, your absolutely magnificent tiara.
It's so pretty. It's really heavy and difficult to wear. But with the headset on, it kind of balances.
The headset. Oh, okay. It helps. I thought it would be.
No,
worse
it's
Really
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah.
It is really beautiful. It is very heavy though. And yes, I have to remember not to look down, because it when it falls, it hurts.
Over your eyes.
So it's balanced against the headset.
So while you think about your Shelley reading, Marta is answering, thank you. Wow, that made me cry. Unbelievably on point for me. That's what we do, ladies and gentlemen.
So using the Sacred Traveler card, her card is staying focused. So this is about your long-term goal that you've got, something that you've either wanted to do for a long time or something that you're looking forward to doing at some point in the future. And it's all about not letting the noise around you, the things that are going on at the moment, distract you from seeing where you want to be and knowing that you can get there. So hold the course, keep going. You can do this. You've got it. And just, get up onto the top of the tower and get your telescope out and have a look, over the top of all of the stuff. It's very technical terms, to the fact that your goal is out there and you have got it and you will get there. Love these.
Yes, I love those too. Thank you very much. I hope, Shelley, that was on point for you. If it is, please comment and let us know. And then we have, so now that people have started to realize that we're doing cards, so they want cards. We have Sonia. She wants a card as well. So is there anyone wanting to read for Sonia? Cindy, do you want to go? Because you haven't, or Simone, that we haven't seen, either of you. No, Simone is coloring. She's fully immersed.
I could go. I know Andrea wants me to pull a card for her as well, but I'd be happy to.
Jump in for now, Cindy. Get ready, Simone. There might be another one.
So I think there is. I think it's Sonia after that, isn't it?
No, that's so Cindy's going to do Sonia right now.
Okay, and then we have
actually, can I do it the other way around? Can I do Andrea first? Because
of course you can.
I'm pulling from my very first deck, which I talked about this morning with you, Isaiah, the one that was gifted to me. So when we were talking earlier about where we all received our or got our first deck, mine was actually a gift. Cards hadn't even been on my radar at all. And so I have a fondness for that deck. And over time, we've had a kind of off again, on again relationship. And when I actually, in case I did get to read, I asked my cards yesterday who wanted to be read from. And that one said yes. That deck said yes. So I would ask Sonia if she has a particular question that she would like to ask the guides. And Andrea, I'll start with Andrea so Sonia has time to contemplate that and put that in the chat. And then Andrea had asked, what's next for me with regards to earning money? Okay, and the card that came forward was Psychic Awareness, Divine Soul. So I don't typically go right to the guidebook. I will look at a card and take it in its images and its colors. And the way that this one is speaking to me is so interesting. I'm drawn right away to the 3 petals that looks like a flower, maybe a lotus, right? And the lotus is an interesting flower. I don't know if you know this, but it grows out of the mud and the muck at the bottom of a lake, and it reaches for the light. So I think what this card is saying to me is reach for your light, yeah, or be the light, right? And also there's these beautiful waves in this card. I don't know if you're noticing that, with all these different colors. And these are the colors of the upper chakras. So the throat, the brow, the crown. So tapping into those higher faculties of imagination and insight and connecting with your source. And I love that little fish in there. Can you see that? All those beautiful colors. I'm reminded of flow. Flow has a strong presence in this card. There's so much, right? Look at that card. There are a lot of symbols in there. So I guess, Andrea, I would be interested in hearing like your impression of the card and what those symbols mean to you too.
I think you can talk, Andrea.
I was mute, sorry. I know that I keep breathing, and when I'm breathing, I'm like, and it's not pleasant for everyone to listen to. Yeah, it's super interesting, actually. So from a kind of flow point of view, things haven't really been flowing for me over the last few years. So it's interesting to look at that and to kind of work, again, more in the upward chakras than the lower kind of security grounded things. I think I'll have to think about it, because I kind of saw the waves and then the moon in the background, and is it a person sitting inside the flower?
Yeah, it seems to be a person, just like a shadow of a person. And I don't know if you can see, there's also like this little golden bird sitting on the shoulder. And as I sat back and looked at that again, like what came to me is, what are your inner voices telling you? You know, because sometimes we'll have the one on this side and the one on this side, and which one are you going to listen to? And I feel like that golden bird is saying to listen to the one that's more elevated.
Yeah.
It's speaking love to you and encouragement.
It's certainly the kind of, the dial is twisting more that way. So I should be listening more strongly. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you're so very welcome.
Thank you both. It's so interesting to have, you know, the client reader relationship exposed. I think it's also part of what we're doing here, is showing that there are so many ways to read cards, so many different ways, and all are valid, and all are how can I say that, making sense for both the reader and the receiver. So thank you, both of you. So what shall we do now? We have Sonia. She wants something about a purpose, she said.
Yes.
So do you want to do the reading, Cindy, or
I
wanna pass it
could,
over?
or I could pass it on to someone who hasn't had a turn yet. Is there anyone?
Okay, so Simone, do you want to go?
I can have a go.
Okay.
Hello, Sonia.
Let's try and have you on
Thank you
top.
for being here with us, Sonia. And like, let's all also remember that everything we all say is to be taken, like, not personally, but only what would resonate with you. So I'm pulling from a very beautiful deck, which is the Inner Child Tarot deck. It's quite an old deck from Isha Lerner, but I really like it because it's very generally, like, the cards are very positive, and there are a lot of details where you can lose yourself in. So for me here, I'm like looking at this young person, and she looks like she's not seeing the full picture because she's looking down at her feet. Maybe she needs more grounding, and that is why. But she's more like looking at her feet, who have like beautiful shoes, but not seeing the little companion she could be playing with, and not seeing that there is this beautiful way of traveling, ready to carry her to new adventure. Although, like, the driver here is like waving at her, hey, you're almost there. And so I would say, like, you have all around you, and you just, it's not even a change in perspective, because sometimes we have like these big realizations with the hangman and change of perspective. But in this case, there's even like the castle is on the back. So it's like everything is already there. You just need like to change like where you're looking at, look up a bit, instead of like looking at your small detail on the shoe, look at the big picture. And you have already the answer. I hope that was helpful. And it's beautiful.
It is.
Like
it is really beautiful.
It's really, really beautiful. I don't think I ever pulled that card for myself. But it feels like a travel is like you want to go there and you don't dare to go there. So just go for it.
Awesome. I love it, Simone. I love it. You know, I have this theory that when we are in a live with many people, and cards are being pulled, if I'm there, they're also a little bit for me. So thank you.
Well, and look for rainbows. Like, obviously, like there is this huge, like, not all the cards in this deck have rainbows. I can tell you for sure. So look for the rainbows. There might be a sign for you there.
And Sonia is saying, yes, it's me. I need to look at the big picture. Thank you, dear.
Well, it applies to all of us. We all of us. I mean, this is why also I feel sometimes like the messages from oracles and tarot, they look generic, but because we are all on the same journey, and we all need to be reminded of the same things again and again and again in a gentle way. But because it's something that we say about cards sometimes, they're too generic, that would apply to anyone. Yeah, we are all humans, having a human experience on this beautiful planet.
Absolutely.
Rainbows.
Yes. Thank you very much. Actually, because it's already 10 to the hour, and in 10 minutes we have another talk by the amazing Laura Muirhead on how to manifest money like a queen using cards. I'm going to close this panel for today, if that's all right with you. I'm going to thank you, all of you, the speakers who came to share with us, the readers, the amazing artists. Thank you, Simone. All the high priestesses, and Nick, who had to leave kind of urgently, but I know that he will be back because you don't get rid of Deckible that easy. They've been amazing at sponsoring us, and also I think the idea of the decks in your pocket, in your back pocket, is one that is difficult to forget. So, and I'm pretty sure we will get Deckible back with us for the next OTALOCO iteration. But we're still in this one, so enjoy this one fully. For all the people who have been listening, thank you so much for your attention, presence. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to pull cards for you, to answer your questions. We love doing that. That's what we do. We love the cards, and the more we can use them, the happier we are. Thank you very, very much to everyone. I will see you all the next time I see you. Bye for now.